to the Office Corner with H.D. Campbell. The show is packed with news, author interviews, and specials all about you, the author. And now here's our host, H.D. Campbell.
Hi, welcome to the Office Corner with H.D. Campbell. As always, I'm your host, H.D. Campbell. I'm standing here in front of the Hard Rock Cafe right here at the heart of Union Station, right here in St. Louis. Today, I want to bring you three very powerful authors. One is Alfreada Brown-Kelly, who's coming up next. She's a very powerful author. And while I bring you that after these messages, I'm just going to follow Union Station.
When the Office Corner returns, we will kick things off with Alfreada Brown-Kelly. Then we'll talk to premier author Jerri Duncan Hansen. Finally, we conclude the show by having a chat with author Marie Darden. Stay tuned.
So you believe the Bruce Williams story concluded in How to Lose a Black Woman? Well, Bruce Williams begs to differ. Find out what's been going on with Bruce Williams in the sequel titled Geraldine, coming soon. Have you checked out the new H.D. Campbell Productions website lately? It has new interactive features. More information on books, services, shows, and more. Check out videos, slideshows, and more at www.hdcampbell3.net. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit.
Welcome back to the Office Corner with H.D. Campbell.
I'm going to bring you our first author, which is Alfreada Brown-Kelly. She's someone who has survived a lot, who's been through a lot, and is willing to teach you something. So, without further ado, here's Alfreada Brown-Kelly.
I started writing I think I was about 40 years old. And what inspired me was, first of all, I was a reader. I read anything from literature to poetry to contemporary fiction. And I read a lot. When I moved to Virginia from Louisiana, I joined book club, etc. And I started writing poetry, and I was only playing when I did it. You know, it was just for fun. And then my book club members encouraged me to say, you should write a book. And I said, I'm not sure that I'm able to write a book. And they said, yeah, you can. So I started looking into it, and that's how my first book came about, Transformation of the Mind, Body, and Soul. It's a poetry book.
Okay. And from there, how long have you been writing?
I've been writing since 2008. That's when my first book was published. And I have written two books since then, The Skin I Am In, and my last one is Why Women Weep, and it's a women's anthology. The first two are poetry books.
Okay. Now I want you to backtrack for a second because actually you just answered my third question, which with only the first part though, which is great. Where I want you to give me a list of your titles and give me a brief synopsis of each of them.
Okay. So again, the first book is Transformation of the Mind, Body, and Soul. It's a poetry book. And it's divided up in three sections, the mind, the body, and the soul. And the second book, The Skin I Am In, that's a poetry book also. It's not divided in sections. It's just poetry from the heart. And Why Women Weep is a women's anthology. While I was working at Hampton University, the faculty and staff there, we always talk about different reasons why women weep. And so I said, you know what? I said, because we weep, we weep sometimes it's for happy reasons, sometimes it's for sad reasons. I said, but what it has done has made all of us survivors because we're all here to talk about it. And when I read that book, I was thinking about women usually think when they're going through something that they are the only ones that are going through that thing. But if it's written out, people can see, hey, I am not the only person that has gone through this. This person went through it, and they've all survived. So I'm going to be a survivor also.
Okay. Now, my next question basically is, what inspired your title, Why Women Weep?
Women. Women is a very, very special subject to me. Not only am I a woman, but I know that as women, we go through a lot of things. We are expected to do and be many things. And when I say that, sometimes we are the father, in addition to being a mother, because, we have a lot of single mothers. We are the nurturer, the caregiver, the wife. We work, and we do, and we keep doing. And we are expected to do. And, in society, men, they're the breadwinners. Usually, when men come home, they're expecting a meal, they expect their kids to be clean, they expect the wife to perform her duties, do whatever it is that she do. And not all men are like this, and I'm not saying anything to downplay what men expect, but I'm just saying as women, we are expected to do a lot of things, and we do a lot of things. So I wanted to write a book that would be dedicated to all of the women.
Okay. Well, I wanted to do a quick aside here. Also, too, I'm glad you brought it up, especially since today is International Women's Day. You're actually bringing a lot of insight with your poetry as well. I went through your art, I went through your website, and I just saw a lot of inspirational things there. And we'll, excuse me, we'll get more into your website here a little later because, like I say, besides a poet, you're very inspiring. I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you.
So, because of that, do you have any writing influences? You influence a lot of people, but do you have influences?
Yes. I have a lot of strong black women who have inspired me over the years, starting with my mother, Ophelia Everett, my aunt, Anna Everett, women from Hampton University, the provost, Dr. Pamela Hammond, Dr. Bertha Davis from Old Dominion University, Dr. Jacqueline Sharp, Dr. Melvina Sumter. All of these women have shaped and made me into the woman I am today. They're the ones who have told me, you can do more. I was at a standpoint in my life at one time where I thought, this is all I need to do. When I worked at Hampton University, Dr. Hammond said, she said, I want you to go back to school, get your master's degree, get your PhD. And she said, and you're going to feel good about it after you get it. And I was like, not sure I want to go back to school. But then when I embarked on that journey, I was glad that I did. And I'm happy where I'm at today. I'm in my master's stage right now. This is my last semester. And then I intend to receive my PhD. I'm going to go and obtain my PhD also.
Well, number one, congratulations. Now, on that note,
thank you.
I know this is hard because it's hard for a lot of people. If you can describe yourself in one word, what would you describe yourself as?
Strong.
I love it. I truly love it. So now now comes my next question. As the strong writer, the strong poet, the strong author, the strong woman you are, there has to be some future titles coming up to exemplify that strength.
Yes. My next book, I'm almost finished completing it. It's going to be Decrees and Declarations of Authenticity. And this book is going to be about different sayings. Some of them are Bible sayings, and some of them are just things that I say all of the time. And like my motto is, you reap what you sow. That is something I strongly believe in. If you do good, you're going to receive good. If you do bad, be looking for bad to come back and bite you on your behind. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So that is one thing that I live and die by. I try to do good to everybody. I try to give back to the local authors here, the local poets, whatever they need to succeed. When you were looking for authors, I sent you whatever it is I thought that would help you on your journey also. Mm-hmm. Because I've learned the more I give, the more I get back. So that's why I'm going to always be a giver, no matter what. I'm going to keep giving and keep giving because, to tell you the truth, it doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't hurt anything. I try to tell all of the young authors that don't think that because if I try to help this person, it's going to take away something from me. It's not going to do that. Whatever God has for you, it's for you. Nobody can take that away from you. But always be a giver, and you will see people will always come back and give to you.
Well, before I go into my next question, I just want to make known, I'm sorry if this is a little embarrassing or not, but Alfreada Brown-Kelly has given me a lot of future guests, which you'll see on this show and on future special shows. And she's not only talks about it, she is about it. So pretty much so, I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very grateful to you for that.
You know what? You don't even have to thank me. That's nice that you are. But, I think that if I had called you and said, HB, I need this, and that, you would have done the same thing for me. So, like I said, I try to do what's right all the time because it comes back.
Absolutely. I talk to this about all the time with people like Keisha Green and everyone. We have this thing, each one teach one. So for every person you help, that help either comes back or it magnifies on someone else.
Exactly. I believe that.
So when you're not writing, going to school, being the superwoman that you are, do you have any other interests or hobbies?
I love to read. I love my hometown of New Orleans and Thibodaux, Louisiana. I'm from Louisiana. I was born in Thibodaux, Louisiana, but I lived in New Orleans for 10 years. There's no place like New Orleans. I'm sure you already know that.
Mm-hmm, right. Oh, yeah.
Moving to Virginia was like a culture shock, but I have learned to adjust. It was it's a big difference. It's a big difference. But I love going home. I usually go home once a month. My mom lives there, and my father has passed away, but I go home once a month at least. And that's what I do. Read. I have an 18-year-old daughter. Everybody who has a teenager knows what 18 years means. Gray hair.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
That's all I can say. So, in between, school, work, trying to complete the next book, going backwards and forwards home, trying to meet up with my girlfriends, Janice and Cassandra. That's what I do, It's a busy life, but, guess what? I think everybody has a busy life.
Well, as long as it's balanced, it can be as busy as possible, and you found a way to balance it all.
Exactly. You just do what you do and keep it moving.
Absolutely. So, do you have any events coming up?
Not right now. I don't have anything coming up right now. I think in April, perhaps, we're going to do something for Poetry Month. It's National Poetry Month. And in that month, my book club, etc., we usually have an event that month. So that's about the only thing right now. Just really laying low because school is number one right now. I'm trying to get out of this master's program so I can, enter into a PhD program somewhere.
Okay. Well, my next question. I know you have fans. I know you have readers, but how can we get in contact with you and connect with you?
Well, anybody can go to my website. It's www.alfreadabrownkelly.com, or they can email me at alfreadakelly@aol.com, or they can call me at 757-344-1550.
Okay. Now, finally, do you have any advice for those who are trying to get to where you are today?
You only have to want it. If you want it, you can do it. If you want to do it and you need help, there's so many people out there who you can call, you can email me if it's anything that I can help you with. I will. I can tell you about my process. I went through the self-publishing process. I can tell you the do's and don'ts. I really didn't have any problems with anything that I did. I went through a company called iUniverse. I had no problems with them. However, I have friends who have had a lot of problems with different companies. So I can only tell you about my experience and what I went through with iUniverse, which was a good experience. I had no problems. And if there's any questions you have, you can email me, and I'll be glad to email you back and tell you whatever it is you want to know. And if I don't know the answer, maybe I know someone who can give you that answer. Next, we'll call the premier author Jerri Duncan Hansen the first, a word from H.D. Campbell.
Starbucks is doing one of the sites for a new show about the arts that I'm doing, special projects I'm doing coming soon. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned to my website at www.htcampbell3.net for that and other details. There will be more Office Corner here in a minute.
Stay tuned to the Office Corner with H.D. Campbell on www.hdcampbell3.net for information on this new show as it unfolds. Until then, let your writing fuel your spirit.
Do you need a manuscript edited? Perhaps you need a press kit or some ghostwriting done. H.D. Campbell Productions will offer the most professional services at the best price. We also do book trailers, publicity, newsletters, and more. Check out more in the online marketplace section on my website at www.hdcampbell3.net. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit.
Welcome back to the Office Corner with H.D. Campbell.
Welcome back to the Office Corner. Right here, I'm in the right City Hall. This is the place where everything in this city goes on. You can do everything from here. Hey, I may even run for mayor one day. No, I'm just kidding. But next, I want to bring you our premier author, Jerri Duncan Hansen. She wrote a new book called Fences, and she has a very powerful message in that book. And she has a very long career ahead of her. So, from then on, let's go into Jerri Duncan Hansen, and I'm going to go ahead and continue sightseeing. To the interview, you shared something with me before we got started here about one of your coworkers having a copy of your book. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's pretty exciting because several people that I know have already received the book either through Kindle or actually received the hard copy, and I'm still waiting on my copies myself, so I haven't had a chance to actually hold one in my hand. And so when she came over to my desk and handed it to me and asked me to sign it, it was a lot of emotions, but it was a lot of excitement in the fact that I could actually hold it in my hand and feel the adrenaline rush in knowing that I finally actually completed a dream that I wanted to complete. And that's the day, it just sent the day, made the rest of the day even that much better, because once she came over and had me sign the book, then a lot of other people within the department found out what was going on, and they were coming over there talking to me. So it was a great day. It was a great moment. No one can ever take it from me.
Okay, cool. Now we're going to backtrack for a second before we get into the book and what it's about. I first want to ask you how you were you first started writing, and what made you want to write.
Well, I started when I was very, very young. I mean, as a child, I was raised by much older parents, and so I was always around the old folks. And I would listen to a lot of stories and a lot of things that transpired within my life. When I was able to start writing, I would kind of jot things down because I was never really allowed to verbalize a lot of things that were going on within my life. I grew up in the generation of you're seen and not heard. So it kind of started then, but it really took off probably 22 years ago this month when my mother passed away, and I wrote her eulogy. And from then on, quite a few people within my life, when there was someone that passed in their life, they asked to write a eulogy. And then I just started, the typical love letter kind of things. And then the last couple of years, I was sending out emails to people, coworkers, and different friends on things that, had gone on in my life and how I made it through and saw the lesson in it. And I got a big response from it. And one of my best friends for the last 10 years has been pushing me to write a book. And so it just kept burning inside of me. And I said, one day it will happen. And now it has.
Okay. Who are some of your writing influences?
Well, people that have influenced me, I can't say so much as major writers. I mean, one that sticks out in my mind the most and has really made an impact in my life is Ayan Labazant and her book, Piece from Broken Pieces. And when I read her book, and I've seen her, not only on TV, but just several of her readings that she did, I realized if she could attain the things that she has in her life with everything that she had gone through, I thought, well, why can't I? She gave me the motivation, I would say, to actually venture out here and say, I'm going to write a book. Because I've always said throughout my life that everybody that's walking the face of this earth has a story to tell. Most people don't want to talk about some things, but I think that, because they think it's not important, but I think if you talk to people, you will find that there's a lot of similarities that we all have with each other. And I think it's great that there's writers out there that can put things into words that can touch people's hearts and souls. And that's what she did for me as a writer. And I will always be grateful to her, even though I've never met her, but that's another dream.
Okay. Well, now I want to hear about your book, Fences. I want you to tell me first what inspired that book.
Well, like I said, my whole life I've always said that not every home has a white picket fence. That was originally what the title of my book was going to be. And when it finally came down to it in the last few days of this, which was a whirlwind event in my life, when they sent me the cover, they just put the title Fences. And I said, well, maybe that'll be better than just not every home has a white picket fence. So that's how we ended up with the title Fences. It's basically a book about things that have happened within my life personally, how I've been able to go through struggles and find the lesson in it, not only for myself, but for others. And so through that, I've been able to put into words the things and the events that have happened in my life, and even just events within the world, things that make you say, is it just me, or is this crazy? So in doing that, I've been able to develop, I guess, a sense that people, when they read my works, they feel like that I've written them just for them. And that's been one of the biggest comments that have come back to me on my writings that I've done on a daily basis for the last couple of years, was that, you hit home today. Oh my God, I can't believe that you wrote that. How did you know I was going through this? So that inspired me even more to want to do this book, because I realized, well, maybe, because you go through life doubting that what you have to say makes a difference in anybody's life. So when comments like that were made to me, it made me realize, well, maybe I've got something going on here. Maybe this is my calling, and God has planted that seed within me, and now He's going to take me to the level that He wants me to be at.
Okay. Well, do I see other works in your future?
I certainly hope so. I'm planning on it.
Well,
we'll put it that way.
Okay, that's fine. So how's the book been received so far?
So far, from most of the people that I know that have read it, they're thrilled to death about it. I've gotten comments from people I've gone to high school with. I've gotten comments from people within a group that I belong to, and my coworkers have, some of them that have purchased it on Kindle. They're really excited about it, and so of course, when that happens, because you have this doubt that when you actually put yourself out there, you're wondering, well, is it going to make a difference to somebody, and how's it going to be received? And so far, I've been very happy about what has been said about it, and I'm hoping that it just keeps taking off.
Okay. So how has Jerri's writing life been ever since you published Fences?
Well, for the past week, I actually haven't written anything. It seems like since I got the news that it was actually published last Friday, it's been one thing after another. I mean, you contacted me to do this interview out of the blue, and which I'm very humbled and honored that I am allowed to do this. I've actually, within the group that I'm in, and I'm going to throw their name out there, which is Sisters with Ink. It's an up-and-coming group. Got quite a few members. I think it's got over 422 members. And I now have been notified that I will have my own inspirational talk show, radio talk show, which is very exciting. I've never experienced that before. There may be a possibility of co-authoring a book with someone, and that should be real interesting because of a friendship that's developed between us that's more like a sisterhood that's transpired in doing this book that presently came out. So there's been a lot of things that have been happening for me that I'm left speechless, actually, and that's kind of hard to imagine for me, but there aren't really enough words I can put out there to tell how I feel. So I've kind of neglected putting it in writing, but that'll be coming out. So keep a watch out for it, okay?
Okay. Now tell me a little bit more about your radio show.
The radio show is going to be, it's under Sisters with Ink. It's under the Blog Talk Radio, and it's more of an inspirational show. Like I said, I haven't really gathered all the details on it yet. We're still working on it, but I believe my first show is actually next Friday the 15th. So I'm very nervous about it. I'm very excited about it because like I said, this book being published has opened up a whole different world for me that I never dreamed of. But I'm sure that once I get the feel of it, I'll be okay.
Oh, you're going to do just fine. You're definitely going to do just fine.
Because I'm very nervous right now, even though I'm not sitting in front of anybody, but it's just, I have a hard time sometimes in just putting into words what's going on right now. It's amazing.
Well, right now you're doing a very good job, so I wouldn't even worry too much about it.
Well, thank you kindly.
Oh, that is no problem. My next question is, are you self-published or do you have a publisher?
I have a publisher, and they are... The name of my publisher is Black Rain, BLAQRAYN Publishers. They're out of North Carolina, and they did an incredible job for me. She kind of picked it up for me. She had posted some things on Facebook about some publishings that she had done, and I was like, well, how come you didn't offer to publish my book? She said, well, I thought you had somebody, and things kind of was at a standstill, and I think that once I came into contact with Kim Morrow with Black Rain, she picked it up for me, and within 5 days, I was a published author. And it's just been amazing. She's also part of this group, Sisters with Ink, and it's amazing to me how so many, especially women, a group of women, can come together. And they're not fighting over somebody. They're not stabbing somebody in the back. There's not this jealousy involved in anything. They're very supportive women. And, we have our blood family, but sometimes our friends that become family are more family because they're connected to you through the heart, through the spirit. And fortunately, I've been able to find that with this group of women in Sisters with Ink. And I want to thank Luella Hill Dudley, who is the actual CEO of this group, and also Kim Morrow, who is the CEO of Black Rain. Because without them, I probably would still be kind of waiting around to see what I needed to do. So they kind of took me under their wing, and they made dreams happen for me.
Okay, very good, very good. My next question. Now that you're on the publishing side, you're in a very unique club. That
I
club,
am.
well, see that club big now. You're actually where some people want to be. And I
Right.
and I and I answer to my authors all the time, and I'm going to pick on you now.
Okay. Pick away, darling. Pick away.
If I'm a writer trying to get to where you are right now, what advice would you give me?
Well, the first advice would be is don't ever doubt yourself and don't ever doubt that the seed that's planted within your soul truly does exist. I mean, you're going to come up against obstacles. You're going to come up against hateration. You're going to come up against a whole lot of things. I had my moments of self-doubt, and if I didn't have this group that I'm involved in that were constantly, uplifting me on a daily basis and saying, you can do this. You've got a gift. Put it out there. So if you have that passion within your soul that's on fire, don't stop until you make your dream come true, because I've waited 58 years to see my dreams come true in this life. And it's been a long wait, but it was worth it. I didn't really get the bug for writing as passionately as I probably should have many years ago because of different things within my life. But once it came back to me, I wasn't going to quit. I kept believing. And I've talked about it for the last 20 years that I will publish a book. And, you have people out there, oh, yeah, sure you will. Well, now I can say, yes, I did. So my advice is never give up. If it's what you really want to do, no matter if it's writing a book or being a singer or an actress or an actor or whatever your passion may be, don't give up until you achieve it, because it will happen.
Well, now comes my follow-up question. What did you do when the doubters did doubt you?
Well, when they could tell whether it was in my writings or, once I got connected with Facebook, and I have to put a thank you out there to someone else in regards to that, and that would be Stacey Fournier with C-Star VIP Consultants. She has been a friend of mine for many years. She was actually my boss on my day job at the hospital, and she put me out on Facebook. And she says, just put your writings, whatever you're sending these emails to people, just put it on here. So then she was the one that actually introduced me with Sisters with Ink and Luella Hill Dudley and Kim Morrow. And it was because of her and the fabulous women in this group that they would notice certain things when we were talking back and forth or messaging back and forth. Maybe I wasn't cracking a joke with them or something, wasn't capping on them, and they'd say, well, what's wrong? What's going on with you? You're not you today. And it was amazing to me that people that never even laid eyes on me were able to pick up on that, where people within my own home couldn't see it. So they would say, okay, what's going on? Devil's after you. And they would start building you up. And then next thing you know, someone else would come in and say, don't let the devil get a hold of you. You're getting ready to, shine. You're getting ready to rise and shine. And you're getting that doubt. And so they kept lifting me up, and it was like, wow, these people don't even know me. And because of that, then it was like, okay, I didn't want to feel like I was letting anybody down. Not only myself, but then I had people in my corner that were like, wow, you've got a gift, do something with it. So it was during those times that they lifted me out of some pits, and they brought me up, and I will forever be grateful for all of them, for it.
I love that. I love that. You have a very humble spirit. That's the one thing that I tell new writers and new authors always to do. Keep that humble spirit. And you've been humbled most of your life, all of your life, as far as from what you said. So you're gonna do fine.
Thank you.
You're gonna do
I
very
appreciate
well.
that. Because it was a very humbling experience for me when you contacted me, because I know that you had liked my page a while back, and I've seen some of your writings and postings, and when you contacted me to do this interview, I was blown away, because, like, you don't know me, but you took a chance to say, okay, let's put her out here, and I appreciate that, because you're helping me take this to another level. So thank you very much.
Oh no, I mean no thanks needed. You're the one who wrote the book. You're the one who put the hard work in. I'm just the guy being nosy, pretty much.
Well, that's all right. You keep being nosy, okay?
That
It's
is
appreciated.
no, that is just all right. So now tell me, where can I buy your book?
Well, you can buy it on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon in Kindle and also on Nook. And if you want me to sign one, you can buy one from me, and I'll mail it to you.
Nice.
Whatever way you want to go.
Okay.
But it is available on Amazon.com.
Okay. Do you have a website?
No, I don't. I'm working on that presently.
Okay. And now my
I'm
next.
not on Twitter. I haven't got grasped the concept of that. I've done good to get on Facebook.
Well, if you ever have any questions about Twitter, I don't mind helping you out.
Okay, I'll be messaging you.
Oh, no
I
problem.
got your number, darling.
Exactly right, exactly. So
I got your number.
that is definitely no problem. My next question is, where do you see yourself and your writing in about 10 years?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I hope that I can continue to get more books published out there. I know there's still some more things that will be part of the fences. There may be a couple of other things coming up, hopefully in the future that won't have anything to do with the present writing, but may expand me out to a different venue as far as my writing. But I'm hoping that whether it's with the writing or with the talk radio, that I will stay, I intend to stay inspired to keep these words flowing. It's in my blood now. It's in my veins. So.
All right.
So hopefully you'll see my name quite frequently.
I know I will. I'm definitely know I will. You'll be out there, especially on a lot of forums. So, I mean, this will not be the last show you'll be on. Trust me.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. So, besides the radio show and other things, do you have any events coming up, like any signings or anything?
There's a possibility that they're trying to set one up in my hometown in the San Joaquin Valley, out here in California. It's a very small town called Merced, where I went to high school, and I was actually at my reunion last year, the first one I'd ever went to, and I talked about writing a book then, and there was some that was, yeah, okay, you're going to write a book. Well, now they're contacting me. Well, we want you to do a press release, and we want you to do this, and when you come to town, we're going to set you up at one of the classmates' house, and we're going to do a book signing. And I'm like, well, let me know when, and I'll be there. So I completed my press release last night, so I'm going to send that over to them. So maybe sometime in the next couple of weeks, I'll be doing a book signing in the San Joaquin Valley in California.
Okay.
So I'm sure there'll be more to come. Like I said, this is all new to me, so it's pretty overwhelming right now.
Oh, again, like I say, you did the hard part. You wrote the book. Everything else is just gonna come. You're doing.
And it seems like that's a true statement, because I would have never dreamed. I mean, I was an emotional wreck when I found out my book was actually published. I couldn't even speak, and I was a big crybaby about it. But from that moment on, it seemed like there's more things that just keep, God keeps blessing me every day. There hasn't been a day that's gone by since I was told it was published that there hasn't been some blessing coming down to me. And it's incredible. It really is. And I'm so grateful.
Okay. So my final question is, do you have any final words, any words of wisdom, anything you want to say?
Well, all I can say is thank you. Thank you for this interview. I've said my thank you to the people that have been in my corner, to my friends and my family. I thank them for being supportive. Most of all, I'm thankful to the Heavenly Father for putting that seed within my soul to be a writer, and that He just kept watering it and allowing it to grow and grow till it's finally set root within my soul, and now it's all come to pass. So whatever way He wants to work through me, I will be the vessel.
Check out the Office Corner every 2 weeks, especially this summer when I do both shows on location from spots right here in St. Louis, in front of beautiful places like this. It's the Office Corner every 2 weeks. On my website, www.htcampbell3.net, and on my YouTube channel, htcampbell1230. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. Thank you.
When we return, we'll talk to author Marie Darden. What is H.D. Campbell Production, you ask? It's a collective of editing services, books, promotions, and more. Find out more about these services in addition to shows and columns at www.htcampbell3.net. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. Stay tuned for the next Author's Corner, March 29th, where we will feature authors. Author Marie M. Gray Jr., author magazine mogul Elissa Gabriel, and myself, author voiceover artist Marie Darden.
It's all coming up March 29th.
Welcome back to the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell.
Welcome back to the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. I'm your host, H.D. Campbell. I'm on the steps of the old courthouse where the famous Dred Scott decision was made. I'm also here to introduce our last author, Marie Darden, who, like Alfreada Brown-Kelly and Jerri Duncan Hansen, had a lot of powerful words to say and a great story to tell. So without further ado, here she is.
Okay, I've been writing since I was a little girl. I'm sure you hear a lot of people say that. I started writing poetry when I was in 5th grade, and I just sort of never stopped. From poetry, I went on to writing for the school newspaper, creating short stories, and then in high school, I won a journalism contest that for a column that I wrote for the newspaper, and so I decided that I wanted to sort of focus on writing in college. And in college, I wrote for the Sable Quill, which was a literary magazine. And I just really never stopped writing from there. I never really worried about having my work published. I just liked the writing process and the way that it gave me a means of sort of working through the different emotions that I was having or the experiences that I was having. And it was therapeutic for me. So I got to a point when I was graduated from graduate school, and I was teaching in high school, and it was a very out-of-control school, even though it was in a very affluent district. And I just felt like my work life was so out of control that I wanted to control something. So I decided to write a novel where I would be able to control the narrative. And that's how Enemy Fields came about. It was my first novel. I started writing it at the beginning of a school year, at the end of August. And by the end of the school year in June, I had finished the first draft of the manuscript. And that's where it started.
Okay. So now that you mentioned your first novel, how many other titles do you have, and what are their names? Also, I want you to explain to me the Community Collective anthology after you tell me about your titles.
Okay. Well, I wrote 2 books back to back. The first one was called Enemy Fields, and it is an historical fiction novel. It's a romantic novel about an interracial couple, and it takes place in the 70s, in 1971, down in Kentucky. So it's kind of a turbulent time period. Before that novel was published, I started writing the sequel, which is called Finding Dignity. And that sort of picks up the story from Enemy Fields and moves forward into the early 90s. Originally, I had written a 3-book trilogy, but the 3rd book of that trilogy ended up getting shelved. So I wrote the third book is a standalone book, and it's called God's Grace. And the characters are not related to those in the first two novels. And then you wanted to hear about the Community Collective?
Yes.
Okay. The Community Collective is an anthology that I edited. I am an English professor, and I've been working at the same college for 13 years. And I was on sabbatical last year, and during my sabbatical, I proposed an idea to the faculty that I'd like to create an anthology of creative work written by the faculty at my college for use in our classes. And I wasn't sure whether it was going to be approved, but I ended up getting a lot of approval, and I ultimately got funding for it. So I was able to create an anthology of creative work by the faculty at the Community College of Baltimore County. And actually, I just proofed the galley for it last week, and it will be out for publication. It'll be out and ready at the end of March.
Okay. I'm going to backtrack for a minute.
Okay.
I want to ask a question about your trilogy. Why did you shelve the third book?
I'm sorry, say it again, please.
I'm going to ask you about your trilogy. Why did you shelve the third book?
Well, it wasn't my choice. I was under contract with Simon & Schuster's Straber Books. Straber Books is it's a subsidiary or an imprint of Simon & Schuster. And then they have an imprint within that imprint that's called Atria Books or Pocket Books. Originally, my contract was with Simon & Schuster's Straber Books. And I had a 2-book contract and an option for a 3rd book. Somewhere along the line, Simon & Schuster decided that the Straber book title was going to be integrated with Pocket Books or Atria Books. And when that happened, there was a lot of change in terms of the authors and the proposed works that were going to be published. A whole lot of us were asked to either come up with a different proposal for a book, or were simply have the book that we had already optioned, denied. So what happened with my 3rd title is that I was asked by my editor to make some significant changes in terms of the content to make it more more marketable or more like popular fiction.
Oh, God.
So in other words, I was really asked to add some sex scenes in every couple of chapters.
Oh, God.
And I wasn't really comfortable doing that. And so I did not take the option to have the 3rd book published by Simon & Schuster Straber.
Well, to also make it work, add insult to injury, they're asking you to do something beyond what your creative mind is. In other words, take what you have and write something you normally either not comfortable with writing or something, right, or you're just messing up my vision pretty much. So
basically. But for the record, I still receive royalties from Simon & Schuster. My editor there, I still am in contact with. I've written a couple of other short stories under pseudonyms in a couple of anthologies with Straber Books, and I had no beef with them. The publisher is fantastic in terms of when you look at industry standards, in terms of the percentage rate that they give you for royalty. She's very fair. Straber Books is very fair, more than fair, almost twice the industry standard. They help with marketing as much as they can. It was really a wonderful experience, and it still is a wonderful experience being affiliated with that publishing house. It's more like a family than it is like a business. So truly, before they merged with Simon & Schuster's Atria Books, other books had a little bit more freedom in terms of what kinds of titles and what kind of materials they produced. And so truly, I have no beef with the process. It's just one of those things that happened.
Okay. Well, I truly understand. I mean, when you're dealing with an industry like that, sometimes you have to work around things. So I truly do understand, my friend. And I'm sorry that actually happened to you. So.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Oh, it is no problem. No problem. Well, on a lighter note, I'm going to ask you, who are some of your favorite authors?
Toni Morrison is the big gun.
All right. I love it too.
Toni Morrison she's my homegirl. She's my idol. She hails from Ohio, and I was born in Ohio. And her books are a nightmare and also magic. I mean, you don't pick up a Toni Morrison novel and walk away with a warm, fuzzy feeling.
Exactly. I know. So, trust me.
Yeah, so, but on the other hand, her writing is poetic and it's psychologically amazing, and it is just a wonderful, wonderful addition to, I think, the canon of American literature. So she's my absolute favorite.
Cool. Okay. Do you have any others? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
That's okay. In terms of poetry, the obvious ones, I love Nikki Giovanni and Sonia Sanchez and Robert Frost and, Richard Wilbur. I love mostly, though, African American literature because that was sort of my focus as an undergrad. So, Maya Angelou and Alice Walker and James Baldwin. I'm huge on James Baldwin. Love him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, see,
I could go on and on.
Oh, well, please do, because my thing is, that we have that in common. We have that. I love the Richard Wrights. I love the James Baldwin, the T.S. Eliot's, all of them. So no,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you.
Richard Wright is. I don't know. I had issues with his biographical information, so I'm not in love with his biography.
Mm-hmm.
But I really did love his work.
Right.
And yeah, so he's a favorite.
Okay.
And Faulkner. I mean, I haven't just read African American literature. I mean, I love some of the basic American writers, like, Faulkner is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, well, same thing with me. I like the Faulkner and the Melvilles, and I can just go on too. So don't feel bad.
Right.
So.
Right. So, there are a lot of standards and icons that I have studied or enjoyed. I also like short stories, and so in that vein, I mean, being from the Baltimore area, I've always had a thing about Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his short stories are perfection. And then in a contemporary sense, I don't get as much of a chance as I'd like to read, the really current stuff. But, I like Eric Jerome Dickey. I can see where his talent has grown and grown over the years. And Mary Morrison, Mary Monroe, as a matter of fact.
I read Mary Monroe, read Dickey. So Mary Monroe was one of my favorites.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff out there. And then truthfully, when when my brain is too tired from working and from the children and my students and everything, I just read magazines.
I understand. I truly understand. Well, and then actually, what you just said actually leads me to my next question. Do you wear any other first, do you wear any other literary hats outside of being an author?
Do I have any what?
Do you have any other literary hats outside of being an author?
Literary hats?
Yeah.
That's That's an interesting question. I've done editing for the past 15 years. I work as a textbook editor, as a freelance textbook editor for Pearson Education, and for Bedford St. Martin. And to be perfectly honest with you, that's a real bore. But I do it because it sometimes gives me a little bit of insight and input on what kinds of material goes into the textbooks that we end up using. So even though it's a little bit of a chore, it's practical because that way I have a little bit of control over what I can choose to use in my classroom.
Okay.
I also worked as an editor for Simon & Schuster for a while, and I still do when they request me to. Most of the time these days I'm too busy and I end up kicking it back to somebody else, to another editor. But I still do, especially if a title really intrigues me, then I will copy edit for Simon & Schuster.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I've been kicking around. I've been kind of looking you up, and kind of stalking you a little bit. And from all your titles, and from all you've done, and even just from friends, you're very well received. You're a fun person to be around, and everybody I've talked to speak to you in the highest regards. How does that make you feel?
Oh gosh, that makes my day.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Thank you for telling me that.
Oh, that's not a problem. I have not heard one bad thing about you. You are a wonderful person and a pretty smile, I might add. So,
well, thank you. That really makes my day.
Oh,
that makes me smile.
Oh, that's good. Well, keep smiling. I don't mind.
Okay.
All right. Outside of the literary, what does Marie Darden like to do with her time?
Well, I have children. They are, one of them is 5 and a half, and the other is 16. So there's a huge span there. And whatever free time I have, which isn't a whole lot, I spend with my kids. And we do the regular stuff, like swimming. We love to go swimming. And, ordering a pizza and watching a DVD that everybody wants to see. I'm really blessed in that I live close to most of my family members. My mother is here close by, and my father, and they're getting older and require some care. And it's a real blessing to be able to see them every week. And I have a set of really good friends that I've grown up with, that I've known since elementary school. And it's a real blessing when I have time to either kick back and have a long chat with them on the phone, or when I have a babysitter and have time to go and hang out with them, go to a happy hour. I'm not big on drinking, but we'll go and have coffee and just talk and catch up and support each other. It's a pretty good little life.
Okay. Well, think about it. I'm not much of a drinker too, either. So I'm. There we go. We have more stuff in common. I love that. Well,
that's good. I certainly like the idea of having a drink. Some of them look so pretty. The margaritas or the daiquiris that are like pink. I mean, they look really fabulous, especially in the summer. But it just doesn't agree with me much.
I understand. Like I said, you probably have to make me drink something if I'm ever going to drink. So there you go. Well,
yeah.
My next question is kind of a serious one. Has anyone or anything thrown any roadblocks in your way along your journey?
The biggest roadblock I have found is the learning curve that comes with being published. I have authors, a lot of author friends. I mean, like you, and other people that I've met along the way. And the thing about publishing is that it really has changed a lot over the past 5 years.
It has.
And I can't say that any one person specifically threw in a roadblock, but I guess what I would say is that if I knew then what I knew now, what I know now, I probably would have played things a little bit differently. I didn't recognize when I was offered a contract the concept that marketing and publicity and promotions and book tours or book signings, all of those things are the author's responsibility. And I didn't realize that. So I came into the industry with a little bit of naivete. I was a little bit naive. And I didn't realize that I needed to have a bankroll, to really be able to promote my work the way that it should have been promoted. Would have required a lot more capital than I ended up having. And so that's one of the things that I realize now. And I don't see it necessarily as a roadblock so much as one of those things that comes with the territory that I think people need to know and learn from and plan for.
Okay. And to be honest with you too, I think at first we all, especially those of us who have publishers, actually didn't know that coming in. And I have to admit I'm one of those. So
right.
So
well, I think that the game is sort of changing. And I think that there are two different kinds of authors. Well, I mean, there are a lot of different kinds of authors, but especially in the African American community, there are a whole lot of us who promote each other and support each other and share information. We've built a network. The fact that we have social networking tools really helps us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's helping established authors to sort of teach more younger authors how to do this game, how to actually navigate this whole process. And so that's a good thing.
Okay. Let's see, and I want to add on before I go into my next question. Mm-hmm. One of my biggest concerns with as far as doing this show and other authors, we're really in this together. And there really, and to be honest, among African American authors, there is no competition because while we write a lot of the same genres, we don't write the same thing. So like you said, I love the social networking. I love the fact that we can come together and promote each other. And like I say, each one teach one is one of my favorite mantras. Me and Keisha Green always talk about that when we're talking about this thing. So
yeah, it's a wonderful motto because I don't know. I think some people think that in order to be successful, they have to compete with the other people, and by compete they mean bring them down sometimes.
Right,
but,
I hate that.
I just feel like we don't have to be pigeonholed in that way. I can honestly say I'm a very good writer, and I can honestly say that I know a whole lot of very good writers. But it doesn't threaten me because, nobody can write what I write because I write from my experience. So to me, there is no competition in that. Nobody can write what you write, HD, because that comes from your head. So see, I can't compete with that.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, there is no competition. It's like there are all kinds of books on the shelf, and people pick all kinds of different books, and there's room for everybody.
That's it. Now, you just made my point exactly to where when you said if you write very well, if you write very well, you don't even have time to worry about what the other person is doing. The other person has a project out. Okay, congratulate them, move on, worry about your projects.
Right, exactly. And that's the biggest part of it, and that's the other part that I end up saying to students and other authors, because we always want to share information. How did you get to be where you are? What did you do? And one of the biggest things is discipline, and it's like it's time consuming to write a good story.
It is.
And for me, I just don't have time to worry about what somebody else is thinking.
Okay. So, but basically on that note, I want to ask, do you have any upcoming titles coming?
I have a book of poetry that I'm currently working on that will be ready for release at the end of May. It's called Remuneration, 1973. And it's a book of poems it's sort of like a love letter to the early 1970s, which was the time when I really sort of, I was a child, but it's the first year that I have clear memories of.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was growing up, and even still, music is such a big part of my life that I recognize that the music that I grew up with has actually helped to shape my psyche and shape my personality. So remuneration means payback, like James Brown, the big payback.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, so, it's just a book that sort of gives homage back to some of my very favorites, like from 1973, Curtis Mayfield and Ray Charles, James Brown, these folks whose music really helped me to be who I am now.
Well, see, that's another thing, another couple things you have in common. I'm a child of the 70s, and music shaped a lot of my life. In fact, I'm.
Oh, good.
Good.
Who are some of your favorites?
Well, you already know that called out Mayfield and Brown, but I liked a lot of the funk bands. I'm more of the Ohio Players and Rolls Royce and
Yes,
huh?
absolutely.
So
I love the Ohio Players. I'll tell you what, I mean, that was some funky stuff.
Yes, it was. I can talk about this all day, I'm telling you.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember hearing those songs calls up so many memories. Good memories, foundation memories. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
They don't make it like they used to. HD. What's going on these days?
You know what? And this is so crazy. Here in a few weeks, I'm actually going to be talking to a few music producers and actually do a special authors corner on that.
Oh, you're kidding?
Oh no. I'm serious. I'm talking to a local record producer here, and I'm talking to a few national people. I just finished talking to a Grammy Award winning gospel producer. So we're I mean it's in the works. It'll air in May. So.
Oh, good. Well, I hope that you'll have to keep checking your website and see when it comes up.
I will definitely. I'll definitely keep you informed. Now, my next question is: do you have any events or signings that are coming up?
I am having a reading at my college on May 16th, I think it is. I'm not looking at the calendar. It's in the middle of May. And that is premiering this most recent work, the Community Collective. And I will be reading some from Remuneration, 1973. And I'll be working with a couple of other authors, doing a signing and just putting out this title. Academic signings are a little bit different than the other public signings, but it's still exciting.
Cool. Okay. Now I like you. I know a lot of people like you, but where can your fans get in touch with you, get to know you better?
Mostly what ends up happening is people request, do a friendship request on Facebook. My website is not up right now, but it will be before the end of May. It used to be at jmariedarden.com, but right now, really the best way is on Facebook. I'm J. Marie Darden, and
if I get a friendship request and I recognize who the person is, or if it's a fellow author or a friend of a friend, I love to welcome them into my circle. And I love that way that we have these days of being able to support and promote each other and also get to sort of know each other a little bit better. You know, there are a lot of authors that I've never actually met in person, but I talk to them every day on Facebook, you know? So that's kind of a nice thing.
I'm pretty happy to actually finally talk to you. We talk all the time on Facebook. Well,
Right.
we like each other's stuff, but we hardly ever talk. So I'm glad we were able to get this conversation. I'm so happy about that.
Good. Yeah, you know, you come up in my world all the time, and your comments make sense to me. You've always got interesting commentary on things, and I don't know how it is that I never have talked to you before, but I'm certainly glad that I have now.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I love that. All right.
Okay, good.
So my next question, where can people buy your books?
My books are available everywhere books are sold. By now, my first book is Enemy Fields is an older title. So quite often it has to be ordered because it won't be on the shelf. But it is available online, Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com. Any of the distributors that distribute books will have my titles. They also are available on Kindle now. So they also are, and Nook. So they also are available electronically.
Okay, cool. All right, now my final question. Do you have any Do you have any final words for any new writers or authors who are trying to get where you are right now?
Well, you know what? Where I am right now is sitting next to my daughter, and I haven't quit my day job. So I guess what I would say to authors is two things. Decide what kind of an author you are. And by that I mean, I've been a writer all of my life. I write because I have to. I write because I love to. And even if nobody else ever saw it, I mean, I have boxes of writing under my bed. You know, I'm going to do it regardless of what happens as a result of it. So there are those writers who write because they have got to do it. And then there are other writers who are writing because they want to do it, but also because there's some place in the publishing industry that they want to be. And I think that authors need to decide what their mission is. And then if you decide that you're one of those who wants to be published, who wants to be mainstream, you need to have a plan. It doesn't happen, you finish a manuscript, which is fantastic. It's phenomenal. It's hard to do. But that's like step one. And then you say, I want to be under contract with one of these big publishing houses. That's an amazing accomplishment because that doesn't happen to most people. But if it does happen to a writer, I just want to make sure that they know that that's not the end of the story. That's really the beginning of it. And they've really got to do their research and really have an earmarked amount of capital to promote themselves and to sustain themselves. And it is not an easy job. It's 40, 50 extra hours, a month. When I was doing signings regularly a couple of years ago, every single weekend, Friday night, Saturday, all day, Sunday, all day, sometimes a Thursday evening, driving to wherever it was and being diabetic, having to figure out at what point I might be able to leave a signing table, and have a snack so that I don't have
Absolutely.
Don't bottom out. It takes a lot of planning. It's a lot of work and a lot of discipline, and that's what I would want to make sure people know. The writing is practically the smallest part. Okay. And then there's everything else.
Next, a final word from H.D. Campbell. Have you checked out the Author's Corner lately? It's the best show you're not watching. Every 2 weeks, we bring you author interviews, news, and the best of the industry. With special guests, no wonder it's the fastest growing show around. There are 2 ways to check me out. log on to my website at www.hdcampbell3.net or my YouTube channel at hdcampbell1230. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. What is HD Campbell Production, you ask? It's a collective of editing services, books, promotions, and more. Find out more about these services in addition to shows and columns at www.hdcampbell3.net. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit.
So you believe the Bruce Williams story concluded in How to Lose a Black Woman? Well, Bruce Williams begs to differ. Find out what's been going on with Bruce Williams in the sequel titled Geraldine, coming soon.
Welcome back to the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell.
Welcome back to the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. I'm standing in front of Bruce Stadium, which is the home to the St. Louis Cardinals, who will just be playing in the next few weeks. Over here is where Ballpark Village is, where there are going to be a lot of shops and other things that's going to supplement what's going on here at this stadium. Now this is the part of the show where I give writers advice as well as any questions you might ask or anything you want to talk about. So today's advice is going to be about blocking shots, settings, things, and I'm taking pictures and everything because I take pictures sometimes in order to do research for novels like a crime novel or about Sergeant Wise Guy. Setting is very important when it comes to writing novels. I always say characterization is my most important thing, but you can't have Barbie dolls and G.I. Joes without play sets. Unless you put them in play sets, they don't work. So to always have a good setting for your story and always make for a good story. Because no matter how well your plot is, it can't go without great characters and it can't go without great settings like right here in this setting. Well, that's the Author's Corner with H.D. Campbell. That's it for the Author's Corner. Come back in 2 weeks and I have 3 more authors, 3 more voices, and more powerful things to say. Thank you, God bless, and as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. Ready? Well, so it's another day on my outing. I loved it. I love talking to you guys. I actually love being out. And check me out next week. Check out my extras. And see you next week on the Author's Corner. Bye-bye.